I occasionally hear people say, even some Christians, that faith is belief despite no evidence. That line comes to mind as I heard the second reading from St. Paul. We walk by faith and not by sight. What in the world does that mean? Are you and I, as disciples of Jesus, an assembly of irrational fools holding on to myths, superstitions, old wives' tales with no evidence to build upon? What does Paul mean? Well, he doesn't mean that we believe in the face of no evidence. Paul knows Jesus. He's met him. He's seen him risen from the dead. He's regularly, on a daily basis, in the company of those who've lived with the Lord, heard his teachings, saw his miracles, witnessed his crucifixion, saw him risen from the dead, not once, not twice, but on countless occasions over the span of 50 days. So what does Paul mean when he says that we walk by faith and not by sight? Well, he means that we walk, that is, that we live, not by appearances, because appearances often deceive. Take suffering, for an example. Suffering seems like it's in vain, like there's no purpose to it. No good can come from it. And yet, the truth is that the world is redeemed by the suffering of Jesus, and our suffering, when united to his, can bring about more good than we can ever imagine and be more meaningful than we ever can think, although it doesn't seem that way. It seems like the wicked prosper and that those who curse God thrive. But in fact, judgment is real, and every single person will have to render an account for how they've lived their lives and face to face with the Lord in front of him. It seems like money should be enough to make you happy, and yet it's not. It seems like the beautiful or the young have more value than others, but they don't. So what is faith? Faith is both a gift from God and is our personal response to his invitation to each of us by name to enter into friendship with him. As Christians, we don't have faith in a God. We have faith in this God who has manifested himself in Jesus, most especially by his passion, his death, and his resurrection. But why is faith so hard? Why do some people have it and others don't? Why do some people have it and others of us struggle with it? And talking to others about faith and the obstacles to it, the struggle of it, I often hear them mention the profound sense of unworthiness, perhaps grasping that God could forgive them, but at best, forgive them but say, okay, I'm not mad at you anymore, but go play over there. No sense of being invited to friendship. Selfishness is another one, a refusal to submit their will to his will. Bitterness, ingratitude are others. But if you ask someone who has come to faith or has perhaps grown in their faith from a place I just mentioned, they often tell you that it's a realization that faith isn't about following a bunch of rules. It's about growing in a relationship, being challenged to personally take responsibility for the gift of faith, reading Scripture daily. Interestingly enough, not so much the Gospels, but the Psalms, which you can find expressed in them every human emotion. Carving out time to pray every day, learning to waste time with Jesus in adoration before the presence of the Blessed Sacrament, beginning to formally study the faith. I know of one person who used to think that those who believe were just silly, ignorant, brainwashed even, until he actually heard the answers to the questions he had and realized the church's teaching actually made sense, and he began to engage his mind. Forgiveness is a tremendous help to faith growing. Witness of family, especially for the men, their father, and gratitude. You can say faith is sort of like a faucet. Faith is a gift from God, which is like your home. The water is always there. You have to open the faucet for it to come out. You can either keep the faucet closed, you can open it a little bit, or you can open it wide. Perhaps it's worth for us this week to ask or think about, for you and for me, those things in our lives that are obstacles to our faith, and then work on them. Let's ask the Father for the great gift of faith, and let's do our part of opening wide the faucet.